afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Rock University High School's Critical Issues Forum presentation. My name is Gabriel Bright.
And I'm John Rocky.
For our presentation, we decided to focus on the International Monitoring System, IMS, as it relates to the current enforcement of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and how the IMS pertains to our overarching goal of total and complete global nuclear disarmament.
John F. Kennedy, a renowned advocate for peace who needs no further introduction, held the view that the first logical step to abolishing nuclear weapons is the banning of nuclear tests. Even a half-century later, this still holds true. The majority of nations in the world do not possess nuclear arms, and it is paramount to keeping those without nuclear arms from developing or obtaining them.
Returning to the subject of the IMS, I would like to give some perspective on how it fits into the verification regime of the CTBT. The IMS is the watchful eyes of the CTBT, monitoring a massive amount of data from a variety of sources, which is then sent and stored at the International Data Center, IDC. Aside from simply storing the data collected by the IMS, the IDC also analyzes data and disseminates the results to member states through a global communications infrastructure. If a treaty-relevant event is deemed to have occurred, then an on-site inspection will be approved and will be voted upon by 51 Executive Council members. 30 of the 51 Council members must vote in favor of an on-site inspection for one to occur.
Despite the IMS not being fully constructed, it is still operational and collecting data. The unfinished state of the IMS is partially due to the steady tensions between India and Pakistan. With both countries yet to accede to the treaty, no nations can currently be built in the region. The IMS, when fully completed, will be comprised of 321 stations and 16 laboratories across 89 nations. Here's a map to give you an idea of the current status of the international monitoring system. You'll notice that some stations are installed but not considered certified. What differentiates installed from certified is that the certified stations have been inspected to meet the technical requirements of the CTBT Preparatory Commissioning.
The IMS makes use of 4 monitoring methods to ensure treaty compliance. The 4 methods that the IMS uses together to collect enough data to determine whether or not a given event was treaty relevant, that is to say, nuclear. The first of which we will look at is seismic. Seismology has been used for decades to differentiate between earthquakes, tremors, and explosions, but it is nearly impossible to determine whether or not an explosion detected by a seismograph is conventional or nuclear in nature. The IMS's seismograph system consists of primary and auxiliary stations. Primary stations collect and transmit data to the International Data Center continuously and automatically, while auxiliary stations collect data but only transmit upon request.
Hydroacoustic stations are designed to detect acoustic waves produced by natural and man-made phenomena in the oceans. While the IMS hydroacoustic network is the smallest in terms of number of stations, this doesn't make it any less powerful. Due to the acoustic waves being beautifully efficient at propagating through water, not many stations are needed to adequately monitor the oceans. There are 2 kinds of hydroacoustic stations, the hydrophone stations and the T-phase stations. The hydrophone station is simple enough. The underwater microphone simply transmits data along a cable to the station on the shore. T-stations are placed on islands, which listen for when acoustic waves convert to seismic waves when they make landfall.
Infrasound stations utilize microbarometers to measure very low frequency sound waves in the atmosphere produced by natural and man-made events. These stations are raised between 4 to 8 sensors, which are then separated by 1 to 3 kilometers. The IDC uses infrasound data to locate and distinguish between atmospheric explosions, natural phenomena such as meteorites, explosive volcanoes, and meteorological events, and man-made phenomena such as re-entering space debris, rocket launches, and aircraft in supersonic flight.
Radionuclide stations collect and analyze samples of air in order to detect both atmospheric detonations and underground detonations. For underground detonations, the IMS has a specialized radionuclide sensor equipped on some, but not all of their radionuclide monitoring stations. stations. These specialized sensors make up the noble gas network. As you might expect, the noble gas network monitors specific isotopes of the noble gas xenon, which are major and definitive indicators of a nuclear test. This brings us to the second part of the presentation, where we shall discuss current challenges and suggest possible solutions regarding the noble gas network and its role in detecting radio xenon. Monitoring of radio xenon is paramount to the IMS because it is the most definitive indicator of a nuclear explosion available to the IMS. This is because radio xenon is produced in large amounts in nuclear explosions and is very likely to emit from an underground source, for example, an underground nuclear test. The treaty-relevant isotopes are xenon-131M, xenon-133M, xenon-133, and xenon-135. However, what's more important than the isotopes on their own is the relative concentration of these isotopes. For example, the ratio of xenon-135 to xenon-133 released by a nuclear weapon explosion is orders of magnitude larger than that is released by nuclear power. Of course, it would be all too easy if nuclear detonations were the only producers of radioactive xenon. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Both civilian and nuclear power plants and medical isotope production facilities produce and emit vast amounts of radio xenon during the production of molybdenum-99.
What makes matters worse is that there are many production locations for medical radio xenon across the world. These two elements create an extensive radio xenon background, which is affected by atmospheric events. It can be considered a form of weather, xenon weather, if you will. The radio xenon background affects the statistical precision and the data interpretation of the International Monitoring System. Additionally, the medical production of molybdenum-99 is very similar to a nuclear explosion, beginning with an irradiation of uranium followed by a quick dissolution into daughter nuclides. When uranium targets are used in the production of these isotopes, the radio xenon emissions from medical isotope production facilities have similar nuclide activity ratios to those produced by nuclear weapons explosions, resulting in difficulty discerning the likely source. The following are graphs of how radio xenon background would interact with the International Monitoring System in various concentrations across the globe. And to clarify, the unit we're using here is a becquerel, so that'd be 10 to the 9 becquerels per day, 5 10 to the 9 becquerels per day, 10 to the 10 becquerels per day, 10 to the 11, and 10 to 12. Since these radio xenon monitoring stations are designed to have a minimum detection concentration threshold of 1 microbecquerel per cubic meter, but most are sensitive up to 0.1 microbecquerels per cubic meter, we can begin to see how this interferes with the functioning of the International Monitoring System. A medical isotope facility's output of radio xenon in becquerels is approximately 10 to the 12 to 10 to the 15 becquerels. So it is significantly higher than the graph that you see here. So it is a very significant issue.
So the question arises, how can we discriminate between types of events? To discriminate between different sources of radio xenon, nuclide ratios can be plotted against each other. Multiple isotopic ratio correlation plots the ratio of the activities of xenon-133M to xenon-131M versus the ratios of the activities of xenon-135 to xenon-133. A comparison of the radio xenon nuclide ratio from the NPPs will show a marked difference from those of nuclear weapons explosions and can be separated by a linear discriminator. This, however, assumes that the foreign nuclides are at or above the minimum detectable concentration, which is often not the case. A good example of when this did not work was during the 2009 North Korean nuclear test, in which we were unable to detect or discriminate that it was a nuclear test.
This was due to the radio xenon concentrations being below detection levels. So what can we do to improve the International Monitoring System's radio xenon network? One option is to modify the medical isotope production processes to reduce reduce radioxenon emission from medical isotope production facilities. One method for doing this is to hold target material at the production facility before using it for production, allowing the radioxenon to decay into a stable daughter nuclide. Simulations show that using accumulation tanks to hold irradiated targets would change the radioxenon activity ratios enough to make those isotopes discernible from a nuclear weapons explosion. The added benefit of using accumulation tanks is that the activity of the emissions is also reduced. Another option is to add a tracer isotope to a medical isotope production facility process to uniquely mark it as an MIPF, although this would raise public concern about adding new emissions into the atmosphere. Finally, and the most expensive method, would be to reduce radioxenon emissions from medical isotope production facilities to convert the target dissolution process from an acid-based to an alkaline-based. This is the process used at the MIPF called the high flux reactor in the Netherlands.
Once a sufficiently sensitive and comprehensive monitoring system has been completed, it should be possible to detect any and all nuclear detonations around the world. This leads us into the third and final part of our presentation. Is a sufficiently sensitive detection system a deterrent to nuclear testing in and of itself? Let's examine the IMS through the lens of panopticism. Panopticism as a social theory is a concept postulated by French philosopher Michel Foucault. Foucault wrote a great deal about power relations and was particularly fascinated with prisons and what can be said about society based on its correctional systems. Panopticism is based loosely on a theoretical prison design conceived by English gentleman Jeremy Bentham. He called his design a panopticon. It was to be a circular prison with cells arranged around a central well, from which prisoners could at all times be observed from the guard tower in the central well. The guards would observe through a one-way window, so prisoners could never be certain whether or not they were being watched. The idea was that prisoners would self-discipline themselves and alter their behavior due to the perception that they are being watched. Foucault takes this idea and applies it to society at large.
Perhaps the IMS can reify the power relations that are described in Foucault's panopticism theory. Like panoptic watchtower, the international monitoring system subjects all nations to the prospect that they are, at all times, being monitored. This idea, combined with the fear of reprisal, such as economic and political sanction, make many nations less likely to attempt a nuclear weapons test. Once fully constructed, the international monitoring system ought to be used in any and all future treaties for compliance and enforcement. Furthermore, the international monitoring system can allow the international community to punish those not subject to the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. The true strength of the international monitoring system is that all are monitored, even those not subject to the CTBT.
The IMS is not necessarily a catch-all, however. Non-state actors, such as terrorist organizations, are not subject, nor would they respond to economic or political sanction. Therefore, the IMS would not act as a deterrent for such organizations. The idea is that the IMS would deter nations from testing due to the near guarantee of detection and therefore punishment. Assumes that a nation fears economic or political sanction. This is based on the premise that states act in self-interest and are rational. This is not always the case. For example, North Korea. North Korea is already severely sanctioned and will probably not cease their weapons program anytime soon. Of course, nations like North Korea are anomalous and, like most exceptions, prove the rule. Other nations that are not deterred would have to be dealt with through other means.
In conclusion, the international monitoring system is one of the most powerful tools of the CTBT for tracking, monitoring, and deterring nuclear proliferation. By improving the radioxenon component of the system, we can substantially improve the international community's ability to distinguish treaty-relevant events from false alarms and make the verification regime all the more potent. In creating a puissant monitoring system, we may be able to deter nuclear tests altogether. Thank you for your time.
is like the relative success rate of the current IMS monitoring stations at detecting nuclear events versus just false flags?
So currently it is relatively successful. As to a explicit percentage, I cannot necessarily give you, as I was not able to find any percentage that was documented by any study. However, due to current nuclear weapons tests being concentrated in specific regions such as the Korean Peninsula, India, Pakistan, and so on, it's relatively easy to monitor radio xenon background in those specific areas because we're looking at that under a microscope, so to speak, at this point. However, that may not always be the case, and furthermore, radio xenon is subject to meteorological events, so as radio xenon is moved around through weather patterns, it could be very possible that you could see shifts in radio xenon background in those specific areas as well. So there is no specific percentage that I was able to find.
So thank you for the really excellent and unique presentation. I have a question about subcritical what was discussed previously. With the monitoring system, do you think it would be also valuable to completely ban all subcritical experiments as well, or do you think those should continue to be allowed?
Obviously, any form of test that contributes to proliferation, whether that is testing a weapon or conducting experiments to maintain existing stockpiles, such as you mentioned, a subcritical experiment, should be outlawed or abolished, but the international monitoring system can't necessarily evaluate subcritical experiments due to the fact that they do not necessarily produce any evidence, so to speak, but due to the nature that they are subcritical and also, not really emitting anything in particular. But yes, they should be obviously abolished. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so I was just interested by something you just said in answer to this question, which is that we're able to really effectively look at like specific areas under the lens, for example, the Korean Peninsula, India, Pakistan, etc. But like in the previous North Korean nuclear test, the radio xenon was detected in Yellowknife, Canada. Like that's
Yes.
pretty far away.
Yes.
Is there any sort of chance, like how big a role does interference play in the effectiveness of this, especially when monitoring stations are so far away from your location of your test?
Can you repeat the last part of your question, please?
Yeah, like what role does any sort of like radio xenon interference play? Like, is there like the chance that these systems might not be accurate given the distance between where the test occurred and where it's being detected?
Yeah, that's definitely the case. As you get further away from the source of emission, the actual source of emission, there's going to be increasingly complex weather patterns, and to map that out and then to trace that back using any form of like statistical analysis or atmospheric backtracking is going to be increasingly difficult as we increase the distance. And what also makes it slightly more difficult is that the isotopes for these radio xenon, or rather the half-lives of these isotopes, I should say, are relatively short, but they are long enough that we're able to detect them and then, generally speaking, track them back. So for example, the shortest half-life would be 133M, which is, 135. It's 9.14 hours, the half-life, so that's very short. But others have about 12 days and like 5 days and so on. So they're short, but they're still long enough that we're able to detect them as they go through currents. But yes, background and the distance does play an important role. I hope that answers your question. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I was just curious, has the IDC made any predictions on the performance of the IMS changing due to global warming?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I couldn't hear.
Has the IDC made any predictions on the performance of IMS changing due to global warming?
The statistical accuracy changing due to global warming?
Yeah, like so stuff like the hydroacoustic systems.
The hydroacoustic stations may be being affected due to global warming and rising motions.
market's changing a lot, so
We've not read anything on that. That might be a possibility, but yeah, I don't think there's been any studies on that so far.
To add slightly to that, to make sure I also understood your question, it mainly dealt with, so like icebergs and ice melting and then creating sound, which would then propagate and be detected in the system. Is that correct, essentially, or no? Yes. Well, then, I suppose if you would not like to continue a dialogue on that matter, that will be the final question. Thank you very much.